The alarm bells rang through the Federation monitoring station like angry metal birds. Commander Thexani dropped his morning nutrition cube and rushed to the main console. His blue skin turned pale as he read the data streaming across the screens. "What, is it?" asked his assistant, a young officer named Kyle Tara. Her large eyes showed worry as she watched the commander's face change. "A distress signal from the outer rim," Thexani said. His voice was quiet, almost afraid. "Sector 7 Alpha. That's the dead zone." The outer rim was a place where smart people did not go. It was dark, cold, and full of dangers. Pirates lived there. Strange things happened there. Most importantly, no civilized species had ever built anything there, but someone was calling for help. The signal was weak and broken. Static filled most of it, but the computer was able to clean it up enough to understand the words. A translation program turned the alien language into something they could read. "We are the Volani people," the message said. "Our homeworld is dying. The machines came from the dark. They eat everything. They turn our cities into metal and ash. We have 7 days before they finish. Please, anyone who hears this, help us." Thexani felt cold. Machine swarms were the stuff of nightmares. Every child in the Federation knew the stories. Machines that could copy themselves. Machines that ate planets and turned them into more machines. The Federation had found dead worlds before. Empty systems where everything was gone except floating metal pieces. "Sir," Kyle Tara said, "should we report this to High Command?" "Not yet," Thexani replied. "The outer rim is full of tricks. Pirates sometimes send fake distress calls to trap rescue ships. Let me check this signal first." He ran the message through every test he knew. He checked for signs of fake data. He looked for hidden computer viruses. He examined the math behind the signal. Everything looked real. The Volani had included detailed information about their attackers. They called them the Devourers. The data was precise and scientific. It showed energy readings, movement patterns, and tactical information. No pirate would have this kind of knowledge. "This is real," Thexani whispered. "These people are really dying." He was about to call High Command when something strange happened. The computer made a noise he had never heard before. A new signal was coming in. "What now?" he asked. The new signal was different. It was strong and clear. It used a language the computer did not recognize, but there was something about it that made Thexani's skin crawl. It sounded like metal talking to metal. "Can you translate it?" Kyle Tara asked. The computer worked for several minutes. Finally, text appeared on the screen. "This is Captain Tae Min, Kim of the human battleship Indomitable. We received your distress call, Volani people. We are coming. Hold on." Thexani stared at the words. "Human? What is a human?" He searched the Federation database. There were records of thousands of species. Tall ones, short ones, ones with wings, ones with tentacles. But no humans. The computer had never heard of them. "Maybe it's a translation error," Kyle Tara suggested. "Look at the timestamp," Thexani said. His voice was shaking. The human response had come only 3 hours after the Volani distress call. That was impossible. The Volani system was in Sector 7 Alpha. The fastest Federation ship would need 4 months to get there. Even if a ship had been waiting nearby, it would take days just to plot a safe course through the dangerous space around the outer rim. "There must be a mistake," Kyle Tara said. "No one can travel that fast." Thexani checked the data again. The signal definitely came from the Volani system. The human ship was already there. Somehow they had traveled across half the galaxy in 3 hours. More signals came in over the next few hours. The humans were talking to the Volani people. The conversations were short and professional. "Volani Defense Force, this is Indomitable. We see your enemy. Prepare for immediate engagement. Human ship. There are millions of them. You cannot fight so many." "Understood, Volani. We have dealt with worse. All civilians should move to underground shelters. This will be loud." Then the battle started. The Federation monitoring station could only hear one side of the fight. The humans reported their actions in calm military language. They talked about target acquisition, firing solutions, and damage assessments like they were discussing the weather. Enemy Formation Alpha destroyed. Moving to engage formation beta. Missile swarm incoming. Activating point defense systems. Hull, breach on deck 7. Damage control teams responding. What scared Thexani the most was how normal the humans sounded. They were fighting millions of killer machines, but they talked like it was just another day at work. The battle went on for 14 hours. 14 hours of constant fighting. The Federation's best warships could barely handle 14 minutes against a machine swarm. Then, suddenly it was quiet. The last human transmission was simple. Vallani people, the threat has been neutralized. Your world is safe. We will remain in orbit until Federation forces arrive. Thexani sat in his chair, staring at the screen. Everything he knew about space combat said this was impossible. One ship could not destroy a machine swarm. One ship could not travel faster than light without using the known jump routes. One ship could not fight for 14 hours without being destroyed. But somehow the humans had done all three things. Sir, Keltara said quietly, what do we tell High Command? Thexani thought about it. He could report that an unknown species had saved a dying world from a machine swarm. He could say that these humans had technology far beyond anything the Federation had ever seen. He could explain that they had appeared from nowhere and done the impossible. High Command would think, he was crazy. Get me a direct line to Admiral Velthera, he said finally. Priority 1, emergency authorization. As he waited for the connection, Thexani looked at the data one more time. The humans had not just saved the Vallani. They had done it instantly, without hesitation, without asking for payment or reward. They had heard a cry for help, and they had come running. In a galaxy where most species would debate for months before sending aid, the humans had answered in hours. The communication system beeped. Admiral Velthera's face appeared on the screen. She looked annoyed at being disturbed. This better be important, Commander, she said. Thexani took a deep breath. Admiral, we have a first contact situation, and you're not going to believe what they can do. Dr. Kyle Asa had done first contact with 47 different species. She knew how to smile without showing teeth, how to bow without insulting anyone, and how to speak in ways that made everyone feel safe. But as her ship, the Harmony's Edge, dropped out of hyperspace near the Vallani system, she felt more nervous than ever before. My stars, whispered the ship's captain, a Zephyrian named Texali. Look at that. Through the main viewer, they could see the battlefield. Millions of metal pieces floated in space like a deadly snowstorm. The pieces were all that remained of the Devourer swarm. Each piece had once been part of a machine designed to eat worlds. In the middle of all this destruction sat a single ship. The human battleship Indomitable was huge, bigger than most Federation cruisers. But it looked different from any ship Dr. Kalasa had ever seen. Where Federation ships were smooth and elegant, this one looked like it was built for war. Its hull was covered in weapons and armor. Battle scars marked its sides where enemy fire had hit. It's still in one piece, Captain Texali said with amazement. How is that possible? Dr. Kailasa activated the communication system. Unknown. Vessel, this is the Federation ship Harmony's Edge. We come in peace to establish first contact. Please respond. The answer came quickly. The voice was calm and professional, speaking in a language the computer had never heard before. But somehow the translation worked perfectly. Federation ship, this is Captain Taemin Kim of the human battleship Indomitable. Welcome to the Vallani system. We have been expecting you. Dr. Kyle Asa felt surprised. You were expecting us? We detected your monitoring station signals 3 days ago, Captain Kim replied. We assumed you would send a diplomatic mission once you realized what happened here. The casual way he said it made Dr. Kailas's head spin. These humans had known about the Federation's secret monitoring stations. They had predicted exactly how the Federation would respond. They seemed to understand Federation protocols better than most Federation citizens. Captain Kim, we would like to request permission to meet face-to-face, she said. According to our first contact procedures, we should exchange basic information about our species. Of course, Doctor. We have prepared a conference room. You may bring up to 6 people. Please be aware that our ship operates under higher gravity than most Federation species prefer. We have made adjustments to accommodate you. How did they know about Federation gravity preferences? Dr. Kyle Asa kept her questions to herself as she selected her team. She brought Captain Tex Ali, Science Officer Nixandra, and 3 security guards just in case. The Indomitable's shuttle bay was massive. It could have held the entire Harmony's Edge with room to spare. As they walked through the corridors, Dr. Kyle Asa noticed how different everything looked. The walls were thick metal, built to withstand damage. The lights were bright and harsh. Everything was designed for function, not beauty. The humans who greeted them looked remarkably similar to several Federation species, but with some key differences. They stood on 2 legs like Zephyrians, but they were shorter and more solid. Their skin came in different colors from pale pink to dark brown. Most interesting of all, they had hair on top of their heads in many different styles and colors. Captain Kim was a middle-aged human with kind eyes and a firm handshake. He wore a dark blue uniform covered in patches and symbols. Behind him stood his senior officers, each looking alert and professional. "Welcome aboard the Indomitable," Captain Kim said. "I hope your journey was comfortable." The conference room was simple but well designed. The table was real wood, something Dr. Kil Asa had only seen in museums. The chairs had been adjusted for different body types. Even the air had been filtered to accommodate various breathing requirements. "Before we begin," Captain Kim said, "I should explain what happened here. 3 days ago, we received a distress signal from the Villani people. They were being attacked by what they called devourers. We responded immediately." "How?" Captain Tex Ali asked. "Our calculations show it should take months to reach this system from any inhabited area." Captain Kim smiled. "We use different travel methods than the Federation. We can move through what we call hyperspace. It allows us to travel much faster than conventional methods." Dr. Kailasa made notes on her data pad. "And the battle? Our sensors detected combat lasting 14 hours. How did one ship defeat so many enemies?" "The Devourers were dangerous but predictable," Captain Kim replied. "They used simple tactics. Overwhelmed the enemy with numbers and superior firepower. We have experience fighting such opponents." "Experience?" Science Officer Nixandra asked. "How much experience?" The humans looked at each other. Captain Kim's expression became more serious. "Doctor, humanity has been at war for most of our history. Not by choice, but by necessity. We have learned to be very good at it." He activated a wall screen that showed tactical data from the battle. Dr. Kailasa watched in amazement as the human ship moved through the enemy swarm like a dancer. It never stayed in one place long enough to be surrounded. Its weapons fired constantly, each shot destroying multiple enemies. When it took damage, the ship somehow repaired itself even while fighting. "Your weapons," Captain Texali said. "They're very different from ours. We prefer kinetic weapons," explained Commander Yun Seo Park, the ship's tactical officer. "Railguns that fire solid projectiles at very high speeds. Also guided missiles with smart targeting systems. Our defensive systems are designed to redirect enemy fire rather than simply absorb it." "And casualties?" Dr. Kailasa asked quietly. She had seen the damage to the ship's hull. No crew could survive that kind of battle without losses. "None," Captain Kim said simply. "I'm sorry?" "0 casualties, 43 wounded, all recovering, but no deaths." Dr. Kailasa stared at him. "That's impossible. No ship can take that much damage without losing crew members." Commander Park leaned forward. "Doctor, human military doctrine has one primary rule: bring everyone home. Our ships are designed around crew survival. Our tactics prioritize protecting our people over destroying the enemy. Our medical technology can handle almost any injury. But how do you win battles if you're always worried about safety?" Nixandra asked. "Because," Captain Kim said, "a living crew member can fight again tomorrow. A dead hero can't protect anyone." The meeting continued for hours. The humans answered every question patiently and thoroughly. They shared technical data, cultural information, and tactical knowledge freely. They seemed genuinely interested in peaceful cooperation with the Federation. But Dr. Kailasa couldn't shake the feeling that she was only seeing the surface. These humans were friendly and professional, but underneath their politeness was something else. They moved like soldiers. They thought like generals. Even their scientists and doctors had the bearing of warriors. "One last question," she said as the meeting ended. "Why did you come here? Why risk your ship and crew for people you had never met?" Captain Kim stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the Villani homeworld hung in space like a blue and green jewel. "Doctor, 3 billion people live on that planet. 3 billion mothers and fathers and children who are about to die. When someone calls for help, you answer. It's that simple." "But you didn't know if you could win," Captain Texali pointed out. "No," Captain Kim agreed. "We didn't know. But we came anyway. Because sometimes doing the right thing is more important than being safe." As Dr. Kailasa returned to her ship, she thought about the captain's words. In a galaxy where most species would form committees and hold debates before acting, the humans had simply done what needed to be done. She began writing her report to the Federation Council, trying to find words to describe what she had learned. How do you explain a species that treats impossible battles like daily routine? How do you describe people who risk everything for strangers? Finally, she wrote, "The humans are unlike any species we have encountered. They possess advanced technology, superior tactical skills, and unwavering dedication to protecting others. Recommendation: immediate full diplomatic contact and mutual defense discussions." She paused, then added one more line. "Warning: if humanity ever becomes our enemy, we are all in serious trouble." Dr. Yunseo Park stood in the main laboratory of the Indomitable, watching 20 of the Federation's best scientists examine human technology with wide eyes and confused expressions. She found it amusing how they poked at things that seemed perfectly normal to her. "This is incredible," said Dr. Zixanda, a crystalline scientist whose body sparkled like living diamond. "Your railgun uses no exotic particles at all, just magnetic fields and kinetic energy." "Simple is better," Yunseo replied. "Complex weapons break down in combat. Simple weapons just work." She had been chosen to lead the technology exchange because she understood both human engineering and Federation science. Born on Earth but educated in Federation universities, she spoke both languages fluently. The Federation Council had specifically requested her participation after learning about her background. "But how do you generate enough power?" asked Dr. Moltar, whose tentacles waved frantically as he studied the railgun's power systems. "Our calculations show you need massive energy sources. We use fusion reactors," Yunseo explained. "Multiple, small ones instead of one big one. If one gets damaged, the others keep working. Also, we store energy in superconducting loops that can release power very quickly when needed." Chief Engineer Boram Choi joined the group, carrying a piece of hull armor that had been damaged in the battle. The metal was twisted and scarred, but not broken. "This is our adaptive armor," Boram said, setting the piece on a table. "It learns from each impact and adjusts its structure to resist similar attacks." Dr. Zixianda ran her crystalline fingers over the armor's surface. "The molecular structure is changing as I touch it, but how does it know what changes to make?" "Each armor plate contains millions of tiny computers," Boram explained. "They analyze incoming damage and share information with nearby plates. The armor literally evolves during combat." "Fascinating," Dr. Moltar said. "But surely this technology is extremely expensive," Boram laughed. "Actually, it's cheaper than standard armor. We make it using quantum fabricators that can build anything, from basic materials. The fabricators are the expensive part, but once you have them, everything else is just rearranged atoms." She led them to the ship's main fabrication bay. The room was filled with machines that hummed quietly as they worked. Raw materials went in one end, finished products came out the other. During the battle with the Devourers, we lost Section 12 completely, Boram said. "Watch." She activated a wall screen that showed the fabricators in action. The machines worked together like a team, building new hull plates, weapons systems, and crew quarters. What had been empty space 3 days ago was now fully functional ship sections. "You rebuilt a quarter of your ship in 3 days?" Dr. Zixanda asked in amazement. "We had to," Boram replied. The crew quarters in that section were home to 300 people. They needed someplace to sleep. Dr. Yunseo took the group to the medical bay next. Chief Medical Officer Hyerin Song was waiting for them with several patients who had volunteered to demonstrate human medical technology. This is Petty Officer Jae Woo Nam, Dr. Song said, indicating a young man lying on a medical bed. 3 days ago, he had both legs crushed when a bulkhead collapsed during combat. Show them, Jae-woo. The young sailor sat up and swung his legs over the side of the bed. He stood up and walked normally, showing no sign of injury. Impossible, whispered Dr. Moltar. Crushed bones cannot heal in 3 days. We use nanotechnology, Dr. Song explained. Tiny robots that repair damage at the cellular level. They can regrow bone, muscle, and even nerve tissue. As long as the patient is alive when we start treatment, we can fix almost anything. What about brain injuries? Asked Dr. Kailasa, who had joined the tour. Dr. Song's expression became more serious. Those are harder. We can repair physical damage, but consciousness and memory are more complex. We've saved many people with head injuries, but they sometimes have changes in personality. That's why our tactics focus on not getting hurt in the first place, Yunseo added. Medical technology is amazing, but prevention is better than cure. The tour continued to the ship's command center. Captain Taemin Kim was there, along with Intelligence Officer Jae-hun Lee. They were studying star charts that showed vast areas of empty space. Dr. Park, Captain Kim said, I think it's time to share the larger picture with our guests. Jae-hun activated the main display. It showed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy, with different colored areas marking various regions. The red areas are dead zones, Jae-hun explained. Star systems that have been completely consumed by machine swarms like the Devourers. The yellow areas are under threat. The green areas are still safe. Dr. Kalasa studied the map with growing horror. There are so many red areas. This particular swarm has been active for over 1,000 years, Jae-hun continued. It started in the galactic core and worked its way outward. The Villani system was just the latest target. But you stopped them, Dr. Zixanda said hopefully. We stopped this group, Captain Kim corrected. But they were just scouts. Our long-range sensors have detected the main fleet. He changed the display to show sensor data from deep space. Dr. Moltar's tentacles went rigid with fear. How many ships is that? Approximately 50 million, Jae-hun said calmly. Each one capable of self-replication. If they reach a system with sufficient raw materials, they can double their numbers in a matter of days. When will they arrive? Dr. Kailasa asked quietly. 18 months, Captain Kim replied. Maybe less if they detect resistance and decide to accelerate their advance. The Federation scientists stood in stunned silence. Dr. Yunseo understood their shock. She had felt the same way when humanity first learned about the Devourers. However, Captain Kim continued, we're not defenseless. Humanity has been preparing for this threat for over a century. How? Dr. Kailasa asked. How do you fight 50 million ships? With 50 million and one, Captain Kim said with a slight smile. Plus allies, superior tactics, and the element of surprise. Strategic Officer Heejin Shin joined the group, carrying a datapad full of battle plans. The Devourers' main weakness is their predictability. They've conquered so many civilizations using the same tactics that they've become overconfident. They expect their enemies to panic and scatter. But we won't? Dr. Moltar asked. No, Hyojin replied. We'll do something they've never seen before. We'll use the entire galaxy as our battlefield. Every star system will be a trap. Every asteroid field will hide weapons. Every space station will be a fortress. She activated a new display showing defensive positions throughout Federation space. With your help, we can turn the galaxy into the ultimate hunting ground. The Devourers will find prey that fights back. Dr. Yunseo watched the Federation scientists process this information. She could see the fear in their eyes, but also something else. Hope. What do you need from us? Dr. Kailasa asked finally. Everything. Captain Kim replied honestly. Ships, crews, weapons, resources, and most importantly, the will to fight. This won't be easy. Many people will die. But if we work together, we can save everyone. And if we refuse to help? Dr. Zixanda asked. Captain Kim's expression didn't change. Then humanity will fight alone, as we always have. But your people will die when the devourers come. At least this way, they have a chance. The room fell silent as everyone contemplated the magnitude of what they faced. Dr. Yunseo remembered her first day in the Federation, when she thought the galaxy was a peaceful place where different species cooperated and shared knowledge. Now, she knew better. The galaxy was dangerous, full of things that wanted to destroy everything good and beautiful, but it was also full of people willing to stand up and fight back. Dr. Park, Dr. Kailasa said quietly. When do we start? Yunseo smiled. Right now. We have 18 months to save the galaxy. Let's get to work. As the Federation scientists began discussing plans and preparations, Yunseo felt a familiar sense of pride. Once again, when faced with impossible odds, humans and their allies were choosing to fight rather than run. It was going to be the greatest battle in galactic history, and somehow she was confident they would win. The Federation Council chamber had never been so quiet. Representatives from dozens of species sat in stunned silence as Intelligence Officer Jae-hun Lee finished his presentation. The holographic display in the center of the room showed images that would haunt their dreams for years to come. To summarize, Jae-hun said in his calm, professional voice, the Devourer fleet approaching our galaxy contains approximately 50 million vessels. Each ship is capable of self-replication, adaptive learning, and autonomous operation. Based on our analysis of their previous campaigns, they have consumed over 3,000 galaxies in the past million years. Counselor Velthara of the Zephyrian Republic raised a shaking hand. Officer Lee, are you saying that this enemy has destroyed 3,000 entire galaxies? Correct, Jae-hun replied. They leave nothing behind, no planets, no stars, no life. Everything gets converted into raw materials for more machines. The crystalline representative, Zixari, spoke with a voice like breaking glass. How is such a thing possible? Surely some civilizations escaped? Jae-hun changed the display to show historical data. We've found evidence of many advanced civilizations that tried to resist. Some had technology superior to the Federation. Some had billions of years of experience. None of them survived. What makes you think we can do better? Demanded the Void Dweller delegate, his shadowy form rippling with anxiety. Captain Taemin Kim stood up from his seat at the human delegation table. Because they've never fought humanity before. His simple statement caused angry murmurs throughout the chamber. Several delegates began speaking at once. Human arrogance, shouted the Molten Core representative. You think one species can succeed where thousands have failed? Not just humanity, Captain Kim replied calmly. All of us together. But yes, I believe we can win. Admiral Velthara, who had been quietly studying the data, stood up. Captain Kim, please explain why you think this situation is different from previous Devourer conquests. Jae-hun activated a new display showing tactical analyses. Every civilization the Devourers have faced followed similar patterns. When attacked, they either tried to negotiate, tried to hide, or fought using conventional tactics. In every case, the Devourers adapted and overcame their resistance. So what makes humans different? Asked Counselor Velthara. We don't follow patterns, Captain Kim said. Human military doctrine is based on chaos, unpredictability, and adaptation. We change our tactics constantly, even when we're winning. We fight dirty when necessary. Most importantly, we never give up. Dr. Hai Jin Shin, the human strategic officer, joined the presentation. We've studied every known Devourer campaign. They rely on fear, overwhelming numbers, and superior firepower, but they've become complacent. They expect their enemies to behave in predictable ways. You're talking about fighting 50 million ships, the machine symbiote delegate said, his cybernetic voice crackling with static. Even if you win every battle, the numbers are impossible, which is why we won't fight fair, Dr. Hyjin replied with a cold smile. We'll use psychological warfare, guerrilla tactics, and environmental advantages. We'll turn their own technology against them. We'll make them afraid of shadows. She activated a new tactical display showing the galaxy divided into defensive zones. The Federation controls approximately 12,000 star systems. We'll turn each one into a fortress, not to hold ground, but to bleed the enemy. Explain, Admiral Velthera requested. Traditional warfare says you defend strategic positions, Dr. Hyjin continued. We'll defend everything and nothing. Every asteroid field will hide missile platforms. Every gas giant will conceal fleet bases. Every trade route will become a kill zone. Jae-hun brought up intelligence reports. The Devourers expect to face military targets, warships, space stations, armed planets. They don't expect entire solar systems to be weapons. How is that possible? Asked the crystalline representative. Your people can grow quantum processors inside asteroids, Dr. Hyjin explained. The Void Dwellers can hide entire fleets in space-time pockets. The machine symbiotes can turn any computer system into a weapon. Separately, these abilities are impressive. Together, they're devastating. Captain Kim walked to the center of the chamber. Every species here has unique advantages. The Federation's greatest strength isn't any single technology, it's diversity. The Devourers have never faced an enemy like us because an enemy like us has never existed before. And if your plan fails, demanded the Molten Core delegate, then we'll try something else, Captain Kim replied simply. And if that fails, we'll try again. Humans have a saying, the only way to guarantee defeat is to stop fighting. Admiral Velthera studied the tactical projections. These plans require unprecedented cooperation between species. Some of our technologies have never been shared outside our own civilizations. The choice is simple, Jae-hun said quietly. Share technology and live, or keep secrets and die together. The chamber erupted in heated discussions. Representatives huddled with their advisors, arguing in dozens of languages. Some species advocated for evacuation to other galaxies. Others suggested surrender negotiations. A few proposed hiding until the threat passed. During the chaos, a new voice cut through the noise. It was soft but carried clearly through the chamber. I am Velani, speaking for the Velani people. Everyone turned to see a small, graceful being, with silver skin and large, dark eyes. She wore simple robes and carried no weapons or technology. 3 days ago, my people were dying, she continued. 3 billion souls faced extinction. We sent out a desperate cry for help, expecting no answer. But someone came. She walked slowly toward the human delegation. The humans arrived instantly. They fought for 14 hours against impossible odds. They saved my entire species and asked for nothing in return. The Federation Council appreciates your testimony, Admiral Velthera said. But this decision must be based on practical considerations. You want practical? Velani asked. Here is practical truth. The Devourers showed no mercy to my people. They consumed our colonies like they were nothing. They turned our children's schools into metal and ash. They cared nothing for our pleas or our surrender offers. Her voice grew stronger. But when the humans came, everything changed. The machines that seemed unstoppable were destroyed. The darkness that covered our world was lifted. You ask if the human plan will work? I have seen what humans can do when they decide to fight. She turned to address the entire chamber. The Devourers believe they are unstoppable because no one has ever stopped them. But they have never met humanity. They have never faced people who answer distress calls from strangers. They have never encountered a species that fights harder when the odds get worse. The chamber fell silent again. Captain Kim walked over to Velani and bowed respectfully. Thank you, he said simply. Admiral, Velthera called for order. The Federation Council will vote on the human proposal for joint military action against the Devourer threat. All those in favor? Slowly, one by one, hands and tentacles and crystalline appendages rose throughout the chamber. Not every delegate, Voted yes, but enough did to carry the motion. The motion passes, Admiral Velthera announced. The Federation formally accepts the human proposal for unified military action. May the stars help us all. As delegates began filing out to contact their governments, Captain Kim remained behind with his team. Dr. Hai Jin was already updating tactical plans based on the resources they would now have available. 18 months, she said quietly. Think, it's enough time? Captain Kim looked at the star chart showing the approaching Devourer fleet. It'll have to be. The alternative is unthinkable. Jae-hun joined them, carrying reports from human deep space reconnaissance. Sir, we've received word from the advance fleet. Admiral Soo-jin Ko reports all ships are in position and ready to begin Phase 1 operations. Good, Captain Kim replied. Send word to all human fleets. Operation Galactic Storm is approved. Time to show these machines what happens when they threaten our friends. As the human delegation prepared to leave, Captain Kim took one last look at the Federation Council chamber. In 18 months, many of the people here would be dead. The coming war would cost millions of lives and consume entire star systems. But, for the first time in over a century, humanity wouldn't be fighting alone. They had allies, resources, and most importantly, something worth protecting. The Devourers were coming. But they would find the Milky Way galaxy very different from their previous conquests. They would find an enemy that fought back. The edge of the galaxy had never seen so many ships. Admiral Soo-jin Ko stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Earthforge, watching as the combined Human Federation fleet took their positions. Behind her, tactical displays showed thousands of vessels from dozens of species, all waiting for the enemy to arrive. Admiral, reported Communications Officer Min Ji-yoon, all fleet commanders are ready. Federation Admiral Velthera confirms her ships are in position. Soo-jin nodded. She had trained for this moment her entire career, but actually seeing it happen felt surreal. Humanity's greatest fleet working alongside alien allies to face an enemy that had consumed galaxies. Long-range sensors are picking up the Devourer advance fleet, announced Sensor Officer Jae-ho Kim. They'll be here in 6 hours. 6 hours, to save the galaxy, Soo-jin said quietly. No pressure. Her tactical officer, Commander Won-il Park, activated the main battle display. It showed the entire galactic rim divided into defensive zones. Each zone contained hidden weapons platforms, concealed fleet bases, and environmental traps that had taken 18 months to prepare. The enemy fleet is larger than expected, Won-il reported. Our count is now 73 million vessels, and growing. They're still replicating as they travel. Soo-jin felt a chill run down her spine. The Devourers had increased their numbers by nearly 50% during their approach, but the plan remained the same. Signal all commands, she ordered. Phase 1 is authorized, let's give them a proper welcome. Across the galaxy, the first stage of Operation Galactic Storm began. Hidden weapons platforms activated in seemingly empty space. Asteroid fields revealed massive railgun batteries. Gas giants opened to release clouds of smart mines. The Devourer advance fleet hit the first defensive line and immediately began taking losses. But they adapted quickly, changing formation and deploying countermeasures. The machines learned from each attack, becoming harder to kill with every passing hour. First, contact in Sector 7, reported Won-il. Enemy advanced scouts engaging defensive platforms. We're inflicting heavy casualties, but they're pushing through. Soo-jin watched the tactical display as red enemy markers penetrated deeper into Federation space. The plan was working, but the cost was enormous. Entire defensive platforms were being destroyed, along with their crews. Admiral Velthera's group is engaging the main enemy fleet, Minji announced. She reports significant contact. Through the communication channel, Soo-jin could hear the sounds of space combat. Weapons firing, damage reports, and the calm voices of professional officers doing their jobs under impossible conditions. This is Admiral Velthera to all commands. Came the Zephyrian's voice. Enemy numbers are overwhelming local defenses, requesting immediate support from reserve fleets. Negative, Soo-jin replied. Maintain current positions. Do not commit reserves until Phase 2. It was the hardest order she had ever given. Federation ships were dying while human reinforcements waited in hiding, but the plan required precise timing. The battle raged for 3 days. The Devourers pushed deeper into Federation space, consuming defensive platforms and space stations. They turned captured materials into new ships, their numbers growing even as they took losses. On the 4th day, everything changed. "Admiral," Wanil reported with excitement, "the enemy has committed their main construction fleet to Sector 12. They're beginning large-scale replication operations." Su Jin smiled for the first time in days. "Signal all fleets. Initiate phase 2. Spring the trap." What the Devourers didn't know was that Sector 12 had been specially prepared. The raw materials they were consuming were contaminated with nanoscale viruses designed by the machine symbiotes. The viruses were dormant until activated by specific construction processes. As the Devourer machines began building new ships, the viruses activated. They spread through the enemy network like wildfire, turning the Devourer's own construction systems against them. "Enemy replication has stopped," reported Jeho with amazement. "Their ships are attacking each other." The virus didn't just shut down enemy construction. It confused their targeting systems, making them identify other Devourer ships as threats. Within hours, entire enemy fleets were destroying themselves in massive friendly fire incidents. "Phase 3 is go," Sujin announced. "All fleets advance. Hit them while they're confused." The combined Human Federation fleet emerged from hiding places throughout the galaxy. Ships that had been concealed in space-time pockets appeared behind. Enemy lines. Fleets that had been disguised as asteroids suddenly revealed their true nature. Weapons platforms that the enemy thought they had destroyed turned out to be decoys hiding the real guns. The tide of battle turned dramatically. Devourer ships that had seemed unstoppable were now vulnerable and confused. The virus continued, spreading through their network, causing chaos and friendly fire across their entire fleet. But the enemy was adapting. Newer Devourer ships began purging infected systems and developing immunity to the virus. The window of opportunity was closing. "Admiral," Wanil said urgently, "enemy command ships are deploying countermeasures. They're regaining control of their forces." Sujin knew this moment would come. The virus had bought them time, but it wouldn't win the war by itself. Now came the most dangerous part of the plan. "Signal Captain Woojin Park," she ordered. "Operation Hellfire is authorized." Captain Park commanded the battleship Defiance, along with a specially trained boarding force. Their mission was simple in concept, but nearly impossible in execution. Infiltrate the Devourer command structure and plant a quantum virus directly into their central control network. "Defiance acknowledges," came Park's calm voice. "We're beginning our run." Sujin watched as the Defiance and its escort ships accelerated toward the heart of the enemy formation. The Devourer command ships were massive, protected by millions of smaller vessels and countless defensive systems. The Defiance used every trick humanity had learned in centuries of warfare. It deployed decoys to confuse enemy targeting. It used gravitational slingshots around neutron stars to build impossible speed. Most importantly, it used the one advantage humans had always possessed: the willingness to take risks that seemed insane. "Defiance has penetrated the enemy perimeter," Wanil reported. "They're taking heavy fire." The battleship's hull was being torn apart by enemy weapons, but its crew kept fighting. Using shaped charges and boarding pods, they blasted their way into the largest Devourer command ship. What happened next was the most desperate battle in human history. Captain Park and his Marines fought their way through corridors filled with killer machines using weapons and tactics that had been perfected in 1,000 conflicts. "Park to Fleet Command," came the captain's voice, distorted by interference and the sounds of combat. "We've reached the central core, beginning upload of quantum virus." "How long do you need?" Sujin asked. 60 seconds for upload, 5 minutes for full propagation." "Understood. All fleets cover the Defiance, everything we have." The entire Human Federation fleet converged on the enemy command ships, throwing everything they had at the Devourer defenses. Ships sacrificed themselves to draw enemy fire away from the Defiance. Fighters made suicide runs against enemy weapons, platforms. "Upload complete. Park reported. Virus is spreading through their network. We're seeing massive system failures across the enemy fleet. The quantum virus was humanity's final weapon. Unlike the earlier virus that caused confusion, this one was designed to be absolutely lethal. It spread through the Devourer network faster than they could adapt, shutting down every infected system permanently. Across the galaxy, enemy ships began shutting down. Millions of Devourer vessels went dark as their computer systems failed. The massive fleet that had seemed unstoppable just hours before was now drifting helplessly in space. Enemy fleet is completely disabled, Jae-ho reported with amazement. All Devourer ships showing zero activity. Soo-jin felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had done it. Against impossible odds, using tactics that bordered on insanity, they had defeated an enemy that had conquered thousands of galaxies. All ships, cease fire, she ordered. Secure the battlefield and begin rescue operations for our people. The aftermath of the battle took months to clean up. The disabled Devourer ships were carefully studied and then destroyed to prevent any possibility of reactivation. The quantum virus was contained and secured to ensure it could never be used. Against peaceful civilizations, Captain Park and most of his boarding team had survived, though they spent weeks in medical care recovering from their injuries. The Defiance itself was so badly damaged that it was eventually retired and turned into a memorial. The final casualty report showed that over 50,000 Federation personnel had died in the battle. It was a terrible price, but compared to the 3 billion people on each world the Devourers would have consumed, it was a small number. 6 months after the battle, Admiral Soo-jin Ko stood in the Federation Council chamber as representatives from every member species applauded her achievements. She had been awarded the highest honors that dozens of civilizations could bestow, but the award she treasured most came from the Villani people, a simple wooden plaque that read, "To the humans who answered our call." In her acceptance speech, Soo-jin said something that would be remembered throughout galactic history. When darkness threatened to consume everything we held dear, we chose